often in the general public, nuclear energy, it's not often demystified, right? We don't really see it in our day-to-day lives, but we are being powered by the nuclear energy that's powering the grid, right? So thank you for explaining that. I did want to go back in your journey in nuclear in energy, but also your journey studying engineering, right? What got you started in your STEM path? What inspired you to enter STEM, really? And how did you use your education and your skills to pivot to a career in nuclear energy?
So I'm going to go way, way back in the past century, and then I'll fast forward quickly. So I came to Canada as a refugee from Uganda. I was just finishing my high school when we came to Canada, and knew. It had been inculcated from a very young age that further education was critical. So going to university was never a question, but what was I going to study at university was not clear. I wasn't one of those who knew from a young age that when I grow up, I want to be that. But I knew what I liked. I liked math, I liked physics, but wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do. And from my family's perspective, from my parents, what the advice I got was, and I think many of your audience, particularly the South Asian origin ones, will appreciate this, was very much, find a career that's going to make you financially independent and something that you enjoy doing, but nothing more detailed than that. My guidance counselor in high school was not terribly helpful. Suggested certain things, but really nothing that really caught my interest. And within my family, my immediate family, no one had really gone to university, but in the extended family, there were careers mostly in medicine or accounting or teaching. And again, nothing that particularly appealed to me at that time. But one of the things that the guidance counselor did was give me the programs for the different universities and said, go through this and see if anything grabs your interest. And I knew I would be going to University of Toronto. We had just moved to Toronto and couldn't afford to live anywhere else, that I'd be living at home. And as I went through the U of T's catalog of programs, civil engineering really appealed to me, and it appealed to me for a couple of reasons. One was the symbol that was used next to the description of civil engineering was a suspension bridge. And, on so many levels, I found that particularly appealing. One is, I think it's a manifestation of humanity's ingenuity coming up with a suspension bridge, but also the more kind of the esoteric bridging part of suspension bridges, but the program description I also found appealing. It would be one that would allow me to be out in the field, in the office, being creative, actually building things. And that particular weekend, there was a special feature in the weekend newspaper on the Brooklyn Bridge. And it was a full-page story on the Brooklyn Bridge, and again, a wonder of the world. And it talked about the chief engineer for the project, and it was Emily Rebling. And Emily Rebling had stepped in to oversee the project when her husband had taken ill. So not necessarily a trained engineer, but actually took on the responsibility and was extremely effective in carrying out that project to a successful outcome. Was the first person to cross the bridge, and there was a lot of fanfare, with elephants going over the bridge to demonstrate how sturdy it was. But it was reading about her, it was almost like the universe was sending me signals that, yeah, you too want to build bridges and you want to be like Emily Rebling. And I think, Amreen, I do want to compliment you for what you're doing with this particular initiative, because role models are so important in inspiring people to take on and see themselves in different roles. And so for me, the inspiration actually was Emily Rebling. And so I signed up for the civil engineering program, not knowing any engineers in my life, frankly. And then I found out on my first day at university that there were only 3 women in a class of 100. It's only then that I realized that engineering is not that popular with women. But I don't think it would have changed my mind, but it came as news to me. So I went to school at U of T. And I had a summer job at Ontario Hydro, predecessor to Ontario Power Generation, and then was hired by them right on graduation. And those were kind of the heydays of generation facilities being built, and certainly for nuclear power plants. There were nuclear power plants in design, there were some under construction, some were just getting commissioned, and some under operations. It really was the heyday of nuclear. And as Amreen, you're an engineer yourself, and as you know, that your discipline really doesn't specialize you in any way. It really helps build a solid foundation for you to then pursue different areas. And so given the growth around nuclear power, it just seemed the right thing to do to focus my efforts on the nuclear side of the business. That's where I got my graduate degree, and I've never regretted it ever.